Hi, my name is Sharon Rice, and I'm going to talk about my PowerPoint presentation today. It's called Easing the Burden, How New Libraries Are Changing Frontline Services in Today's 21st Century Public Library. Um, to be a part of the changing public library landscape, the staff and patrons of the library need to utilize new technologies such as RFID, AMH machines, and smart book drops, smart shelf checks, user-generated content catalogs, and roving reference services. The theory behind these technologies is, first off, RFID. It was at first a controversial technology due to it being associated with retail establishments and job loss. But it was also really expensive to implement in the very beginning of the technology with physical tags, man hours, training hours, and having to rebuild the facilities. But as the RFID technology progressed, benefits were found to vastly outweigh any negatives. Like being able to have good security, being able to process items much more quickly, to be able to have a good idea of inventory. RFID's benefits are huge, including physical benefits to library employees. So at this point, RFID tagging is widely accepted and nearly a non-issue in public libraries. Also, part of the 21st century library technology for frontline services is AMH machines. They work off of the RFID chips to process items automatically. They're currently a really big business. OCLC is even involved in their evolution and implementation. But they can be tricky to implement because the public libraries are very sensitive to large changes such as automated machines. And employees worry about job loss, but these machines do require skilled workers to be able to operate them. The other big piece of this technology is user-generated content catalogs and roving reference. These services need to be integrated because the public now prefers them that way. We want the discovery experience at libraries like we get from Facebook and YouTube. We're also very impatient. We want to not have to wait in line. We want people to come find us with our problems. The library that I visited is billing itself as a library of the future, but it has only been open 6 months. The technology and business center of the library are on a different floor from the traditional library, but I observed the traditional library, not the technology and business center. Because this is a huge building, the library is struggling to fit the space and it feels very empty. This is the first library in their district, and it's a large district with 15 branches, to have an AMH machine. They did RFID tag all materials 4 years previously, but they weren't able to afford to get AMH machines. They're very proud of this machine, and they show it off through a large glass window for everyone to see. I interviewed the public services manager and the senior circulation clerk. Public services manager was incredibly excited about the new technologies he and his staff are using, and it was pretty infectious. His favorite part of the new technologies is the AMH machine because he's able to have a much better staffing model. People aren't taking as much time to return books anymore. The library did choose not to purchase computer or user-generated content catalogs because of budget constraints. They're very expensive, and their current catalog was offered to them for free from their vendor, which is Circe. So they don't have it, even though they would like to have it at some point. The manager also didn't like roving reference. He thought it was too clunky and it made the library feel too much like a retail establishment, and he counted on other technologies like physical online catalogs throughout the building to make up for the roving reference. The staff member I interviewed was reluctant to praise the technologies, and she was resentful of them at first, but now she realizes that they're saving their sanity as they're able to do much more, much quicker. Her favorite part of the new technologies is the smart checkouts, as they ease the workflow for her and allow her to concentrate more on patrons' problems than a huge line of people she's checking out. The library technologies should meet the needs of the public. The technologies in this library are doing just that, and the public does love them. They're thrilled with them. The staff has accepted the technology as integral to their workflow, but they haven't embraced why it's necessary. They haven't really embraced that saving time is going to help them help their patrons. The staff has forgotten that these technologies are not just for them, they're for the people of the library. That's why we do what we do. By not purchasing content-generated catalogs, the public is missing out on those streamlined services, which is very unfortunate. The technologies that are purchased by libraries need to anticipate the needs of not just the staff, but the needs of the patrons, particularly in the future. So not having those content-generated catalogs is not really pushing the library into the future. Without these catalogs and roving reference, the library doesn't quite live up to its hype of being a 21st century library. These new technologies are providing the staff the ability to cross-train in other areas and giving them ownership of the library, which is fantastic. It's a huge library. But due to the success of the technology in this building, plans are being made to purchase machines for 4 more of the branches in the district this year. However, this isn't the highest volume branch, and it's concerning that they would choose to put their labor-saving technology not where it's really needed, but where they could show it off. The speed of service is important in libraries, as is community pride, and it would seem to me that it would be a good idea to put good technologies in a place that really needs them. Frontline staff is still slightly resentful of the technology, and they need to be able to fully embrace it for it to be able to do the maximum good for their patrons. Libraries are changing from centers of knowledge to facilitators of information, and easing the burden of frontline staff is going to make the experience better for all. These technologies save the patrons in staff time and frustration. This is a brand new library. It's struggling to fit their space, and they are having growing pains as they learn what will work for them and what won't. And they need to fully embrace all technologies, including roving reference and including the online catalogs, to really serve patrons in the future. And without all aspects of that technology in place, service can fall a little flat. The staff and management are cautiously excited about the library technologies of the future as they embrace them, and it is hoped that they will continue to adapt their services to meet the needs of their community and thrive.